Good evening. Welcome to Earth to the Other Side. My name's John Glasspool. I'm your host, and tonight I have the pleasure of having Kristin Warner on with us, and she had her NDE back in 2002. Kristin, welcome to the program. Nice to have you.
Thank you.
So I'm going to go ahead and just let you tell us all about your experience.
Okay. In 2001, I fractured my back. I fell and fractured two vertebrae, and I ended up having to have back surgery. And um, they waited a year to do surgery, so I had extensive damage. And the day after surgery, they were trying to get my pain managed and they couldn't get it managed. And they had me on IV morphine drip. And I stopped breathing and coded, and I was pronounced dead. Um, my mom was in the room with me, and she said the room was in complete chaos. But I didn't experience any of that. I didn't see my body. I know that's common for a lot of near-death experiencers, but my death was so sudden, it was like I woke up on the other side. And it was like going through a doorway. Um, when I initially realized what was going on, what I could see around me was a velvety black, inky curtain, for lack of a better way to describe it. It's really difficult to describe what it looked like. The way that I typically describe it is it looked like a wall of black energy that had different colors of black in it. It's not black like we know it to be here. And it was like it was alive. I crossed through it, and around me I felt countless numbers of souls with me. I can't even put a number to it. It was extensive. Um, and I didn't recognize anyone visually, but I could feel their energy. So I knew that I knew who they were in life, and I knew they knew me. There were some that I didn't know from life, but they knew who I was. And the thing that I remembered the most is the extensive love. The love was just it defies description. It's completely different and so much deeper than anything I've ever experienced here. Which was amazing to me because I had kind of a difficult childhood. I have a disability, and I've struggled through life to kind of learn to love myself and to be accepted. So it wasn't something that I was used to. And I had gone through a lot of emotional turmoil growing up. So it gave me the experience that I didn't have while I was on this plane of existence. And when I realized what was going on and saw the other souls around me, they didn't have bodies, they were light beings. It wasn't like looking out and saying, oh, there's grandma and grandpa, but I knew that they were grandma and grandpa when they were with me in this life. Also, like I said, the love was just absolutely immense. I didn't have a life review, and a lot of people think that I'm gonna give you some information about myself that I don't share with a lot of people because it's kind of important. Um, I was suicidal when I was a teenager, and I attempted suicide twice. A lot of people think that if you've done that, you're not going to have a positive afterlife. For me, it was the exact opposite. I was not judged for it. I was embraced. I was told that I needed to come back and share what I had experienced and to let people know not to be afraid that we don't die. Um, I didn't see any religious figures, but the spirituality there is absolutely just vast. And it's love. There really isn't any other aspect to what I experienced was the love. And I was told that was what I needed to come back to share. There was also music that I heard, but it's tones that you don't hear here. It was completely different, and color is very vibrant. There were hues that again don't exist here. They're deeper, they're more intense. And when I came back, there was a huge adjustment period. It was like all of a sudden I was back in my body, and everything felt foreign. I didn't feel like I belonged. My life didn't feel like it was mine. My opinions and my ways of thinking completely changed. And oddly, I also visually see things different now. Coming back now, everything's like two-dimensional. It's like looking as if you're looking at a stage set. It's kind of strange. People look at me like I'm off my rocker a little bit when I say that, but I mean it's the truth. And the color, I see color differently. Before I had my near-death experience, I liked no color. I didn't wear reds, I didn't wear blues, I didn't wear greens, nothing bright. Now I'm an artist. I'm a colored pencil artist, and I love to play with color. It completely changed my desire to deal with it. And one of the gifts that I received from the experience is I am told a lot of times when it's the last time I'm going to see somebody on this earth. And that's kind of unnerving for some people, but since I've come back, I'm also a non-denominational chaplain, and it really helps me in my ministry. I've been able to help a lot of people through dealing with death. That's basically what my story is.
That's
So
really, wow, that's really wonderful. There's so many wonderful aspects to your experience, and I thank you for sharing that with us.
absolutely.
I'm curious, when it comes to colors and were you an artist before your experience as well?
No, in fact, I didn't even realize that I had the artistic ability. My family has it, but I had never explored it. And since then, that's what I've been wanting to do.
Wow,
So it
that's
changed
extraordinary.
my focus on what I wanted to accomplish too.
Okay. And have you ever tried or attempted to recreate any of the colors or the energy that you felt in some of those colors during your experience?
I haven't. That's an interesting idea. I may have to do that in the future.
I'm so curious. I'm sure you can do it. I would love to see it. Wow,
I
it'd be
haven't
amazing.
lost any of the feeling, any of the sensations. I can, in fact, I can still access that love when I'm really going through something difficult. It comes back.
Okay.
Um, it's kind of amazing.
That was going to be one of my questions, actually, if you were able to reconnect to that space, to that
Yeah,
feeling.
yeah, and it's important because I deal with a lot of tragedy. I'm part of the fire department. I'm a chaplain
Hmm.
for the fire department, so I
Hmm.
deal with a lot of tough stuff, and it helps.
I bet.
to be able to focus on that and bring myself back to center. And that's
Hmm.
what it does, is it centers me.
Yeah, amazing. You were talking about music. How would you describe the music that you heard over there? Was there any vocalizations or was it just strictly
No,
music?
no, I just heard tones. And again, it's super hard to put into words. Kind of symphonic, but not like symphonic you think here. It's not instrumental. And that's
Was it
the
more
other thing.
vibrational?
Yeah. And any communication that I received, when I was told I needed to come back and share, it was all telepathic. It was all like it was mental, of course, because I didn't have a body. So, but I had all my memories. I had all of the realization of there were people that weren't physically with me, but that's the other thing. A lot of one of the questions that I get asked all the time is, do our loved ones miss us when they pass? And it's gonna sound strange, but I have to say no. And the reason is because it's literally like walking through a doorway. It's like they're in the other room. Um, they're there with you, but you don't see them, and you don't miss somebody that's in the other room in this life. They're still there, and it's awesome because not only are they with you, but everyone that I knew prior to that had already passed before me was with me too. So it was even more of a whole feeling,
Mm.
as far as connection to everyone and everything.
And when you re-entered your body, were you fully aware of your physical disability when you came back?
Oh my gosh, yes. Um, One of the things that I absolutely love, where I grew up, there is, in a cemetery where I grew up, there is a um, headstone that is of a young boy who's in a wheelchair, and he's rising up out of the wheelchair, and you can tell that it's because he's healed, and that's what it felt like. The amazing thing was, here I don't have the ability to physically move very easily. I'm in pain a lot, and my body just doesn't function like everybody else's does. But there, I knew I could physically do anything that I wanted to do. It was amazing. I mean, I didn't have a body, but it was like I knew I could run, jump, ice skate, anything that I would have wanted to experience, I would have been able to. And coming back, it was bizarre. It was like entering this heavy, wet blanket. And I felt trapped again. And it was a strange sensation because I never really felt trapped before. I just had accepted that, this was my life. This was the way my body functioned. And I never really focused on being trapped. Um, but now I have a keen awareness that what makes me me is not my body. There's a complete separation there. And to be honest, I struggle with my physical disability a lot more now because I know the freedom of not having it. But so it's kind of strange, but at the same time, it pushes me to try to do as much as I possibly can do because I felt that freedom.
It's interesting, and
So
I've heard it described as such before, entering your body and it feeling like a wet sack,
it does, and
a
it's
damp,
heavy,
cold, heavy.
and
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
it's really strange.
I imagine. And with in terms of time and space, did you feel like you were there for a certain amount of time, or was that
It
something that
felt
came
like
back with you?
it felt like a long time. But when I came back, it took me probably almost a full day to have the concept of time back again. I was completely disoriented when I came back. Um, I couldn't tell what time of day it was, or how long I had been away, and there's no other way to put it. I wasn't here. But I really had to adjust. I mean, it was like coming back to a foreign world. Being there was like being home. It was like that was where I was supposed to be, and this is just another experience.
Yeah. Did you feel like it was more of a coming back to a dream? Because you mentioned the two dimension, sort of getting used to that, readjusting to the way you perceive things visually
Um,
before.
Actually, right now, this particular part of our existence feels like the dream to me now.
Right.
Um, it was more, and it sounds weird, and it's hard to put it into words, but it being there was more real. And I struggle with calling it there too, because it wasn't really anywhere different. It just, I knew that it was a place that's alongside where we are now. It's not like people point upwards when they talk about going to heaven. And for me, it wasn't like that. It was like everybody is still here. This is just another dimension in the same place. Um, and it, like I said, it's hard to put into words to describe it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it's not like a big separation.
Right. Yeah, it's another thing I've heard it described like that as well. Fairly recently, actually, somebody was saying how it's not really anywhere. It was just it's always right there. It's just that we're unable to see it on this side.
Exactly, that's how it felt. And I knew too that I could, if I wanted to, I could see anyone, or see any place, or find out anything that I wanted to find out. But I wasn't given the opportunity to do that. That I was told that would come later.
Hmm.
So,
So you'd mentioned feeling the spirituality aspect of it on that side, so to speak, and the unconditional love aspect of it and everything.
right.
So within that, and within that context, was there any feeling of any divine entity or presence of that
That that
magnitude?
felt like it was all around me. I
Hmm.
didn't see anything physically to say, "Oh, there's Jesus, or Buddha, or whatever." But it was there. And it when they people talk about God being everywhere, if you want to use the word God, I know a lot of people don't, but if you want to use the word God, there it wasn't like there was a being standing there. It was just, I was surrounded by it. It was like I was almost inside it, part of it. And I'm having a hard time putting it into words, but that's the best way I can describe it.
It's completely normal. I mean, everybody has a hard time describing this kind of stuff, you know.
Yeah,
There's like no vocabulary to to describe the kind of things that we see.
not at
Um,
all.
yeah, so we do our best. Anyways, you're doing a fantastic job, by the way. Absolutely wonderful
Thanks.
job. Um, so do you feel like this type of sustained, yeah, unconditional love that we hear about so often, do you think that can be something that will be a reality here ever?
I
Is it
think
even
that it's
possible?
I think it's a possibility, but it's not something that I think human beings can totally um express. It's too vast and too deep. We have a limited knowledge of what love is. And we define love, and there's no definition for the love that's there. There's no way that it can be accurately described. Um, Other than to maybe say I wasn't accepted here, but I felt completely accepted and loved and cherished and important, not in an egotistical way, but important as a creation there, if that makes sense. It just wasn't a part of me. It was something that I experienced, but it isn't me.
Mhm.
Um, for the way I describe it now is it is this body that I was provided, that I was given, has the disability, but what makes me me does not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So the only thing I can say is maybe it happens as a teaching tool for other people and for yourself as you're going through it if you're disabled. I've learned a lot that I may not have learned had I not been born into this body. I think it's allowed me to develop a lot of understanding about personal strength where I may not have understood it so much before, if I hadn't had this experience with this body. And it's helped me since the near death experience and feeling that freedom. It's helped me to understand the struggles of people that I encounter as a chaplain that are going through those kind of struggles, that were okay physically and now they're not okay and they don't know how to deal with it.
Mhm.
It's given me both perspectives. So I think maybe that might be part of the reason why I had the near death experience too. Um, I think maybe that might have been part of the reason that I'm here.
You were talking initially at the beginning of your experience that you had been surrounded by like a black velvety sort of curtain, right?
Right.
And was this infinite? Was just all black kind of velvety surrounding you, or?
Yeah, it was totally surrounding me. There was no other visualization.
Hmm.
And it kind of evaporated when I went through it.
Okay.
It's not really a correct way to describe it, but that's how I can use words to explain what happened.
I wonder if that was sort of like a transitionary. Is that a word? Transitionary? I'm not even sure. As a part of the transition, could it have maybe represented, the leaving of your physical body, like you weren't completely, detached from it yet, maybe. I wonder.
Very possible. I honestly don't know what it was.
Hmm.
Um, a lot of people have the tunnel of light. I didn't, and I think it was because my passing was almost, it was like having an accident basically. And I think it happened too fast for me to experience that part of it. To be honest with you, that's what I would have expected to experience, but that isn't what happened.
Hmm. I suppose it
So
never really is, eh?
yeah. No, it's far better than anything I could have expected. But
Right. What were your thoughts about the afterlife before all this happened?
I actually was planning on going into something with ministry before this even happened. And I would have expected to see religious figures. I would have expected to see the tunnel of light. Um, I would have expected to maybe run into my grandparents as they looked in life, because that's what I was taught. And I did experience it in a way, but it wasn't anything like I was taught to expect at all. Um, it it was more of a spiritual experience than a religious experience.
So did it then change a lot of how you perceived religion?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. I became non-denominational after I
Mm-hmm.
had the near-death experience. I'm at the point where I see value and I see the spiritual aspect of what I went through in every religion. And it's helped me because, as a chaplain, that means that I'm being given the ability to help people no matter what they believe. Which to me it's an amazing gift, and I'm so grateful that I was given the opportunity to be a source of help. Um,
Definitely, definitely. I mean, that's huge. It really is.
yeah,
You know, it's pretty amazing.
I've been put in position quite often since 2002 to share this, and um, this is the first time I've actually been able to share it on a forum like this. So I hope that it helps a lot of people.
Oh, I think it will, Kristen, for sure. What are your thoughts on reincarnation, especially now, since your NDE?
Um, I don't know how I feel about that. I honestly think if I was asked to come back, I don't know that I'd want to. But I mean, I can't say that wouldn't happen if I was asked to and shown what kind of opportunities and what kind of learning experience I would be given if I was given the opportunity to come back. Um, I don't know. I honestly can't answer that question. I didn't believe in reincarnation before.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and the only thing I can say is I know that what makes us who we are, it goes on. So it's not out of the realm of possibility, I guess. I just don't know that I want to come back and experience this life again.
I hear you.
The only thing I do want to say though is if you're in near death experience groups, and everybody has questions about the next life, but I encourage people to realize that it's it's an experience that nobody really expects to have, and you don't come back with all the answers. um, I'm constantly asked, well, what's the answer to this? What were you told about this? What can we learn about um this belief or that belief? And it's really hard for people that have just come back. And for me, like I said, it's been since 2002, but it's really really hard to answer all those questions. And what I tell people is it's not like you sit on God's knee and God explains everything to you. Um, it's another experience, and even though it felt to me like I belonged there and it was where I was supposed to be, it's a whole experience again. It's not like you get there and you understand everything. And I think that's one thing that some people think happens. I didn't have instant knowledge about everything. So, and that is one question I get asked often is did you find out about all the history of everything and how everything was created and all that? And it wasn't like that for me. Um, I can't say that's not what other people experience, but
I
I
think it's a
didn't.
matter of also, whether or not you are seeking that knowledge. Like, I think for a lot of souls, it's what happens is they when they do ask, almost simultaneously the answer is provided. So
Right.
it's not like they
But
know everything all at once. Here you go, big pack of
right,
load of
right.
information. It's okay if you want to know, you do know it's within, and
Exactly. Like I knew I could I knew I could find out. I could
Mhm.
visit or see or learn about anything, but I was told it wasn't the time.
Yeah.
So,
Did you have a sense that you could visit and see us on Earth?
yes, yes,
Hmm.
yes, and
And
I
connect
know
as well, I mean.
absolutely. I know from experience in my own life, I've been visited by people that have crossed before me. And I knew that I had that ability too if I had been given the opportunity to. I honestly don't think I was there long enough to be able to experience that, but I knew I could.
That's interesting.
So, yeah.
But you did say that you came back with the ability to sense when someone's going to transition, right?
Yes. Yes.
And so how does
Um,
that come to you? Does it sort of just enter randomly out of nowhere, or do you think you
yeah.
dreamed it? Okay.
It's like a telepathic message that comes through.
Hmm.
I don't know from
But
what source. I don't know if it's from God or what or
most
whatever.
likely.
But
But is it also always the same thing, like the same conduit, same way of
yeah.
receiving the information? Yeah.
Um, it doesn't happen with everyone. I just lost my dad a couple months ago.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Um, thank you. I didn't know that he was going to cross over. But I have had multiple people that I've ministered to and other family members that I knew that it was the last time I was going to see them in this life. And it's not a feeling of um I don't know what I want to say. It's not like it's a sad thing. It's kind of it's a joyous thing because I know they're going where I was. And it gives me the opportunity to kind of reach out and touch them in some way. I'm usually given a way to give them a message that that they're loved and that they'll be okay. Um, and I don't go up to people and say, I know that your time is short, but I'm given the method to be able to tell them, hey, you're important and you made a difference.
It's such a valuable gift, especially doing what you're doing. You're sort of, doing the work of a end of life doula, right?
I have been called that.
Yeah, well, that's essentially what you're doing.
Yeah.
And the fact that you have that extra bonus of, being able to have that knowledge in advance, it can definitely, I think, better prepare you in certain circumstances.
Yeah, it does help. It does help. I've
That's
put a lot of
wonderful.
people and a lot of families at peace.
That's
So,
amazing. Beautiful, beautiful. I love it. It's been so wonderful speaking with you, Kristin. And from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for agreeing to do this interview. I'm really happy that you did. And I feel it went very well. Thank you so much.
you're very welcome. Thanks for the opportunity.
Absolutely, my pleasure.